Hello, students. Welcome to Sir Thomas Tutors. Continuing with the topic on the factors of production. In the previous lessons, we did land and labor as a factor of production. Today, we move on to another important factor of production that is called capital. Suppose Mr. Lalit wants to start a car manufacturing company called the Lalit Motors. Now, he has land and he has capital. Can he start this company without machines, without tools, without the factory building, without equipment? No, of course not. He needs machines, he needs factory tools, and so on. And that's where capital comes into the picture. Students, when we hear the word capital, most of us immediately think of money. But in economics, capital simply does not mean money. What does it mean then? It refers to capital goods that helps in producing other goods and services. So in economics, what is capital? Capital refers to capital goods that help in producing other goods and services. For example, machines, tools, factory buildings, trucks, equipment, your warehouses, power generators, and so on. Keeping in mind the example of Lalit Motors. What is capital to Lalit Motors? It simply means assembly machines, factory building, robotic equipment, transport trucks. All these help in producing the car. Let us understand the three important features of capital. The very first one is capital means physical capital. Money itself, my dear students, is not capital. That's the first thing we ought to know. Money itself is not capital. If you have 10 lakh rupees lying in the bank, it is just money. But when this money is used to buy machines, it becomes capital. So I repeat, when the money that is used to buy machines, it becomes capital. So in the example of Mr. Lalit, when he uses his 10 lakhs to buy machine, that is capital for Lalit Motors. Capital is man made. Unlike land, capital is not a free gift of nature. Human beings created. A machine is manufactured. A building is constructed. A truck is produced in a factory. So you see, capital is man made, a produced means of production. Your third feature of capital, it refers to a stock of goods. Now, what is a stock of goods referred to? It refers to the stock of productive assets available at a particular point in time. So, if Lalit Motors own 20 machines, his 10 trucks, his one factory building, put all this together will give Lalit Motors capital stock. Now, why do you think, my dear students, capital is important? Imagine you ask a carpenter to make a furniture without using tools, or ask a farmer to cultivate land without any equipment. Can they work efficiently? Of course not. So, capital makes production easier, faster, and even more efficient. Let us look at the difference between land and capital. Now, land is a free gift of nature, whereas capital is man made. Land is fixed in supply, whereas supply can increase with the demand. Land is permanent, whereas supply of capital depreciates with time. And that's why it needs a replacement. Land is immovable, whereas capital is movable, mobile. The reward for land is rent, whereas the reward for capital is interest. Moving on to differences between capital and labor. Capital is a passive factor, labor is an active factor. Capital can be separated from the owner, labor cannot be separated from the worker. Capital is durable, labor is perishable. Capital is mobile, labor is less mobile. We now move on to the characteristics of capital. The very first one, capital is man made. That is, capital is purely created by human effort. For example, your machines, your factories, your roads, tools, all are produced by people, produced with the help of humans. And therefore, it will involve a cost of production. Capital is durable. Most capital goods last for many years. They don't perish so easily, nor is capital goods consumed immediately. For example, your factory building, your machines, your trucks, they last for many years. And that's why capital is durable. Another characteristic of capital is that capital is a passive factor of production. Just like land, capital cannot work by itself. Right, my dear students? A machine cannot operate on its own. It requires workers, and therefore, labor activates capital. Capital is mobile. Capital, my dear students, can move from one place to another. For example, a company can shift its machinery from Mumbai to Gujarat. And this mobility not only helps the company for that moment, but it helps in the production expansion of the company. So, capital is mobile, it can move from one place to another. Supply of capital is elastic. Unlike land, my dear students, capital can be increased as and when it is needed the most. And this comes about only if the country saves and invests more. Only then it can create more factories and machines. So the supply of capital is elastic. Capital depreciates. Machines also wear out. Buildings need repairs. Now, this reduction in the value due to wear and tear of the machine is called depreciation. And therefore, most companies keep aside some amount of money for its wear and tear, for its maintenance. And that money is kept aside basically for its replacement. Capital is a result of savings. Suppose, my dear students, a person earns 50,000 rupees a month. Definitely, he is not going to spend the entire amount. He may keep aside 10,000 per month. After a period of time, he will use this money to buy machines. And buying this machinery helps in creating capital from savings. Therefore, capital is created from savings. It is a result of savings. Moving on to importance of capital. The very first importance is that it increases productivity. A farmer using a tractor can cultivate more than the one who uses his traditional methods. Thus, you see, capital helps in increasing productivity. Second point, capital creates employment. When industries invest in new factories, you need more workers, right? And that's why capital helps in creating jobs in the country. Capital provides tools and equipment. Workers need tools to work efficiently. And who does it? Capital. Capital provides those tools. For example, computers for software engineers, tractors for farmers, machines for factory workers. So you see, it is capital who provides the tools and equipment. Capital promotes modern technology. My dear students, just remember one thing. Without capital, automation is not possible. Robotics is not possible. Artificial intelligence of today's times is not possible. Modern day manufacturing is not possible. And that's why most advanced industries depend heavily on capital. Now, students, let us move to another important concept related to capital, and that is capital formation. Now, suppose Lalit Motors has 10 machines today. Next year or the following year, he buys 5 more machines. Has its capital increased? Yes. Now, this increase in the capital stock is called capital formation. So, what is capital formation? It simply means the increase in the stock of capital goods in an economy. Am I clear, my dear students? So, an increase in the capital stock is called capital formation. So, in simple words, capital formation simply means increasing the stock of the capital goods in an economy. For example, you build new factories, you buy new machines, you construct new warehouses, you purchase your transport vehicles. All this helps in increasing the stock of the capital formation in any company. Old machines wear out. Suppose a factory replaces the old machine with a new one. Has capital increased? No. The company has only maintained its existing capital. The company has only maintained its existing capital. So this system of replacing the old assets with the new assets is called maintaining capital intact, or also called replacement investment. And that's why, my dear students, capital formation takes place only when total investment exceeds depreciation. Now, what does this mean? Let me give you an example. Suppose your total investment is 10 crore. Your depreciation comes up to say around 3 crores. You minus depreciation from the total investment, and your net investment comes to around 7 crore. Now, this 7 crore represents your capital formation. So, what is my calculations? Capital formation, that is your net investment, equals to total investment minus depreciation. Now, what are the factors that influence the process of capital formation? You've got 3 factors. One is creation of savings, 2, mobilization of savings, and 3, investment of savings. Very easy points, my dear students. The 3 stages in the process of capital formation. My dear students, let's understand one concept. Before one invests, one has to save. Take, for example, a teacher will not spend the entire salary. He or she will save some amount. So also an entrepreneur, a business person, will not utilize the entire profit. He will save some profit, right? Now, this savings becomes the foundation of your capital formation. I repeat, this savings becomes the foundation of your capital formation. Now, savings depend upon your ability to save, on your income, that is, on your desire to save, and your opportunities to save. So, I repeat, your savings will depend on your income, your desire, and your opportunities. Now, high income means high savings, low income means low savings. And to add to that, you got your taxes. When taxes are high, you will save less. When taxes are low or proportionate, you will save more. So, your ability and your desire. Now, what about your opportunities? Now, every saver would want something out of it. Every person who believes, who wants, every person who wants to save his money wants to know how much will he benefit from saving. And so that refers to the condition of peace and security in the country and the favorable attitude of the government to motivate its people to save. So basically, what is trying to tell you? The interest rate. So higher the interest, the more you will save. And you also want to see whether the money which you have saved goes in for further investments, right? So, creation of savings. The second factor that influences capital formation, and that is mobilization of savings. Now, this capital formation cannot occur unless savings made by people are mobilized for investment purpose. Now, imagine everyone kept his money in the locker at home. How would industries get its fund? Would they get? No, they would not, because everyone has saved his money at home. Now, savings must reach the productive sectors. And who will be the mediator? Banks. This is where banks come to help out. So, what do banks do? Banks will collect the savings from you and me and then provide loans to business people. Thus, you see, your saving is mobilized. The third factor influencing capital formation, and that is investment of savings. Unless mobilized savings are utilized or invested, there cannot be any capital formation. Let's take, for example, a business owner borrows money. Now, the money which he borrows from the bank, he puts into business. He opens a factory. Now, savings here has become capital goods. Now, this completes the process of capital formation. Even here, my dear students, every economy should have a good entrepreneurial class, because it is that entrepreneur who is willing to take the risk, who's willing to be there in that uncertain moment. That's going to mobilize your saving. And when he is willing to bear the risk in business and invest savings in productive channels, this process leads to a proper capital formation. Now, my dear students, why is capital formation very slow or low in developing countries? Simply because I would say low savings. First, low income means low savings. And most developing nations are with low income. And that's why, because they are still developing, because they still have a low income, savings are bound to be low. Therefore, less savings means less capital formation. Your second point for the low rate of capital formation, and that is the habit of hoarding. Most of the people in developing countries have the habit of hoarding their savings, especially in their own homes. Some people keep cash, some people keep gold. Now, such savings obviously do not help any industries, and therefore, capital formation suffers. Inflation. When prices rise, people spend more. When people spend more with low income, we are bound to have low savings. And this will reduce, obviously, the ability to save. Thus, the majority of the middle class people contribute very little to capital formation. Lack of infrastructure. Basic infrastructure like roads, communications, education, water, health generally lacks in underdeveloped countries like India, which creates an improper atmosphere for capital formation. Lack of able and skilled entrepreneurs. Even if you have money, but you do not have your skilled entrepreneur, you will not contribute to capital formation. So even if there is money available, there should be someone who's willing to take that risk and start the business. Do not wait for another person. You are able, you are capable, take the risk and start your business. Without capable entrepreneurs, my dear students, investment remains limited. So, students, as we have come towards the end of this topic on capital, let me just recall the other two topics. What does land provide? Land provides natural resources. Labor provides effort. Capital gives us the machineries, the tools, the equipment, whatever is needed in our day to day production. And this helps you in expanding your production process. Now, if every country works on this capital formation, if every country builds on this capital formation, making sure that all the three factors, land, labor, and capital, are fully utilized, saving is promoted, investment in productive assets are encouraged, definitely that country will have a great drive towards economic growth and development. So I repeat, capital formation enables economic growth and development. With this, we come to the end of this class. If there's any doubt you have, please drop in a comment. I'll be happy to answer it. Now, from the point of examination, there are some questions given to you in the link. Make sure you download it and learn it for your exams. It will be of great help towards your preparation for your board exams. And just one thing before I go, do give this video a like and share it with your other friends too. And if you still haven't subscribed to my channel, please do so. I will see you soon for my next class on Entrepreneur.